Woo. Welcome to the Hoops Rehab Show on a Wednesday night in the NBA with Game 1.
That's all I gotta say. Woo and Damn, what a finish that was.
And a choke job by the Knicks with Reggie Miller on call. Welcome to the show, guys. We got a lot to unpack here. How you doing, Eric?
I'm good, man. Definitely a lot to unpack. I told you, Knicks do not lose game 1, and definitely don't lose the way you did. And so I know we're gonna get into that, but yeah, pretty good. Awesome night of Eastern Conference Final of basketball. How's it going with you?
Good, man. I mean, nothing's better than watching Indiana and New York and just having Reggie Miller call that game, and my son watching it and me telling him about what happened all those years ago.
Oh yeah,
man,
you got to relive it tonight. That's the funny thing.
Got to. All right. So as always, everybody, I am the Game Injury Doc, aka Evan Jeffries. You can follow me at all the social media platforms. On my right is Eric B. Mack. Please follow him at all Instagram, Twitter, all those good places there. And of course, our Hoops Rehab page on YouTube. And our podcast, which is on Apple or Spotify or however you get your podcasts. So please subscribe to those channels, rate, comment, and kind of get us some love there while we do this NBA playoffs. So, and before I get started with the game, as always, everybody, please comment if you're live right now, either on YouTube, Twitter, or Instagram. We love to interact. I want to get your guys' thoughts on Game 1 of the Eastern Conference Finals. All right, Eric, let's get it cracking. So, I mean, I had so much to say about the Knicks.
I know. We had it all queued up.
I had some notes in the first half. I'm watching the third. You see Brunson go out, with 5 fouls, and they go on a 16-0 run, or was it 16-2, something like that. You're like, oh, this game is over, right? Cat's talking trash to Siakam. It's got to be over. No, it isn't.
Not for the Pacers. No, obviously.
What do you think of what happened in this game?
So you're saying there's a chance, as long as the Pacers have some glimmer of hope, you can't count them out. So they were down 14. I got it here with 2:51 left. So that is 99.7% probability that the Knicks were going to win that game. And so, wouldn't you know it? Mr. Naismith got hot. Obviously, Hallie was just amazing, which I know we'll get into. I got into OT. I was like, Knicks, you do not lose this game. I know it's just one game, and one game. It's not 2 games. It's not 3 games, but it just feels like 2 games in a weird way because you just have to. I mean, history shows you win it, and so Knicks played great basketball. It was a little bit high scoring, which we talked about yesterday. I believe that we were comfortable for the Knicks if it was a high 90s, low hundreds type of game. And the higher scoring it got, I think the more uncomfortable it would get for the Knicks, and it would be more where the Pacers want to be at. And so, what did you see out there? I know there's a lot of plays we're going to get into in terms of down the stretch, but overall, obviously a tough loss for the Knickerbockers. Yeah.
I mean, Aaron Naismith, right? So you're watching him hit a couple of threes, and you're like, oh, okay. They're still down by like 14, 11. Then he hits 4 in a row. And you're like, okay. I mean, he's got a good shot. Then he hits 5 in a row, right? And it just keeps going and going, and he hits 6 in a row. And then I'm just like, there ain't no way they're going to lose this game. And then the Pacers just literally start swarming on defense. Like Reggie Miller throughout the broadcast kept saying, like, I don't know why Miles Turner's not in the ball game, things like that. But they got into this lineup that was able to just switch everything and move as quick as possible, and it caused so much chaos for the Knicks down the stretch. I mean, I've never seen Brunson look so like he didn't know how to dribble anymore. Like he was bouncing the ball for things. He was getting bumped off his spot easily. And the one thing the refs weren't doing, were going to call any of those ticky-tack fouls. They were not going to call anything.
They weren't going to bail him out. They weren't going to bail him out, in that moment for sure.
And I think some of that is his reputation, right? I know we could probably get into SGA and some of the free throw merchant that people keep talking about, but Brunson's kind of the same type of player. He knows how to create a foul, and they just weren't given any of that down the stretch. So credit to the Pacers. I mean, unbelievable job. This is, what is it, the third time this playoffs? Do you have that stat available, Eric?
Yeah, so I posted this May 6th. So heading into these playoffs, this is just incredible. So since 97-98, if a team was down 7+ points with the final minute of a game or overtime, right? Regulation or overtime, the teams are 1 for 1,640. 1 for 1,640. You know how many times the Pacers have done that this playoffs? Not 1, not 2, 3 times. Like that is incredible. Like we're seeing things that have never been done before. Again, once in almost 30 years, 3 times these playoffs for the Pacers. Team of Destiny? Anyone? Team of Destiny? I don't know. They're going to the finals. I'll tell you that though. Oh, we'll talk about that later. But yeah, they're going to the finals.
One thing I will say about these Pacers, and we highlighted this when we did the Knicks Pacers preview, is just like, you cannot count this team out and underestimate them. And I don't think the Knicks did.
No, not at all.
This was like a tough game throughout the whole game. Like it was back and forth. And then Knicks only separated when Brunson went out, right? But these Pacers just have this ability to shoot and get open as quickly as possible. And like Haliburton, and I said he was going to be the key to this game, right? Like if he is distributing the ball like he did and scoring, like he's pretty much unstoppable because he gets the offensive going. And these guys are just flat out shooting threes. They're getting easy baskets. I mean, even the end of the game, Obi Toppin getting the dunk, right, to like seal the game there. It was just unbelievable. Like they just do such a great job and can play 10 deep, which is crazy in the playoffs here. I mean, they're deep like OKC, to be honest with you.
Yeah, we talked about that yesterday. Like obviously one is a little bit more defensive minded and one was more offensive minded, but similar strategy with just playing a lot of guys. And so, hey, maybe that'll be the finals, but we got a long way to go. And so there's a couple plays that is just so fascinating to me. One was obviously the 2-pointer that we thought was a 3-pointer that bounced up Kawhi Leonard style, went in. But we were talking about it earlier. You probably recall where Haliburton had I don't want to say an easy shot, obviously, but he had a free throw line 2-point shot to tie the game. And he like took 2 big old steps back. And that just tells you this age's NBA, right?
This generation.
And this generation. And he obviously didn't get the 3, but he was going for it. And so, man, that was just like something else. I'm like, man, you got like a little mid-range. You could just knock that down, go to OT.
It's almost like he was about to shoot, and then he was like Reggie Miller, and he like stepped back to go to the 3. Like how Reggie Miller stepped back to go to the 3, like to tie it up.
It was like same thing.
Reminded me of just like, wow, like he was like, no, I'm going for this thing. And I mean, he obviously thought he had it, and the Pacers thought he had it, and then it's crazy to see that his toe was on the line. But man, remarkable comeback by the Pacers. And let's get into the Knicks psyche right now. At this point, I mean, you know how we talked about game ones are so important. And the fact that a road team has already stolen one, and it was the game 1 in this fashion, how do the Knicks come back from this in game 2?
Well, Knicks it's not going to be easy, but you got to just get it in your heads that it's one game. It's going to feel like 2.
Yeah.
But it is one game. You got to treat it as like we weren't up 14 with a couple minutes left. It was a dogfight. We lost to a really good team.
Yeah.
I really did think after 2 games there would be a split. I just thought it would be really important for the Knicks just to set the tone for the series and get this game. Now Knicks are forced to win 2 out of the next 3, and more importantly, just 100% got to get game 2. That's all that matters now. And so I think they just gotta tell themselves, hey, look at where we're at. We're in the Eastern Conference Finals. If we're going to be down on ourselves now, then let's just go home. So they got to think about the things that they did well for 43 minutes or 45 minutes, right?
Yeah.
You gotta, like you said, we jotted down so many things that the Knicks did well. And so we can lose sight of that, right? Because we're reactionary. We're going to be talking about the Pacers tonight and how they won. But the Knicks have to look back and say, hey, how can we duplicate this? If we're up 13-14 with a couple minutes left, we're not going to lose that game again. And so that's where I think Knicks got to kind of really, it's all going to be here at
mental
this point.
Yeah. I mean, like first half, I thought Mitchell Robinson coming in and given those 8 minutes where he got like 3 offensive rebounds within like a 2-minute span, which was just like, man, they're going to have a tough time against this Knicks team. Right. And Brunson was on, everybody was kind of on fire. And, Karl Anthony Towns had a great second half. And you thought, okay, if you would have told me that Brunson were going to get 43 and Karl Anthony Towns was going to get 35 and you lost that game, I mean, to me, that's shocking, right? You had your 2 superstars handle their business. But we've seen a stat in these playoffs, and Eric's favorite stat with his man, OG Anunoby. If he gets 20, they are 6-0. How much did OG have tonight?
Well, we like to poke fun at it, but he had 16 and they lost by 3. So if I do the simple math, if he would have 20, they would have won by 1, right?
That's the
funny thing about it. So,
I mean, it's not like, they all had good games and they just shouldn't have lost this game.
I mean, offensively, you did mention earlier, they were definitely shell shocked once they came back, but you can't blame their offense. Obviously, they definitely scored a lot, but there's some other things they're gonna have to shore up. But that's just funny to see that he didn't get his 20, so they lost. Yeah,
I did want to point out though. I think the only thing I see the Knicks getting in trouble this series is they're pretty much 7 deep right now.
Oh yeah,
like you're gonna play Mitchell Robinson and Miles McBride. You can count Cameron Payne, but he got 10 minutes and he's not really going to be a factor.
No.
Now, you know how Tibbs loves to play his starters, and this is a Pacers team that runs nonstop, and they come at you, right? Their starting lineup, they only had one guy play 43 minutes, and then that was Siakam, and then Tyrese was at 42. And the rest were in the 30s, and they had a bunch of minutes off the bench. So they're going to keep coming after you. Even if the game is close, the problem is the Knicks could fatigue down the stretch based on how many minutes they're playing, and maybe they're just not getting enough rest. And this could be like every game, right? Where it's like, oh, it's a close game. And then all of a sudden the cardiac Pacers are making that comeback and they're speeding up the game when the Knicks are tired, right? So I think that's something that we have to look out for moving forward in the series.
They're playing every other day. It is something that we have to look kind of out for. That's why this game, you had it, Knicks. You had it. This is a game you had to win. And this is why sometimes I can't bear have a team that I enjoy going late into the to the playoffs and you lose a game like this. It's just I'd be very distraught. And so it's a tough one, man. Like you pointed it out. Like they're gonna have to win 4 of these things with 7 guys. And they had one at their fingertips and lost it. And so, that as the series carries on, and Indiana's not going to slow down. They're going to make you go at their pace. And the depth of that team could ultimately be the difference.
Yeah. I can't imagine what the Knicks fans were doing after this game, walking down Madison. Walking out of Madison Square Garden, I can't imagine the vibe that we always see the hype videos of when the Knicks win. I can't imagine this vibe because the thing is the Knicks are so used to losing It's like in the playoffs, at least, right? When you get to this stage and you have a collapse like this, and you've already had a collapse like this against the same team, it's so detrimental to their psyche. I mean, I hope like it's not, right? I hope we see the Knicks come back in game 2, get the win, and then we gotta. I mean, I want to see 6 more games of this. I don't know 100%. Who doesn't, right? So I think the Knicks have to just almost. I mean, yeah, you can watch some tape and figure out what they were doing at the end, but you almost got to just watch this and just put it out your mind. Go into tomorrow, get around and shoot around or practice whatever they're doing on their off day, and just get it out of your head, get your reps in, and then get back to game 2 and kind of figure out it from there.
Yeah, I mean, as I mentioned, Knicks played really, really well, and they did all the things they needed to do to win the game, except the last 251. And so, they got to take a few things away from that. I'm sure Indiana's going to probably tell themselves, hey, we don't want to get in that position again also, right? And so the New York, I don't know if you noticed, but the end of the game in the OT, the New York crowd was just
silent.
Sense the nerves, right?
Yeah.
Like that rocking crowd was like, oh shit, we are about to blow this thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I was thinking maybe Knicks will still pull it away. Once it was ruled a 2 by Hallie, I was like, I mean, I thought Indiana would had the obviously the momentum, but I was like, okay, maybe like this just tells me Knicks are gonna take this, and they sure didn't. So man, they really got to flush this because it's game 2 will be here before you know it.
Oh, for sure. And just moving forward, it's like playoff Haliburton is just becoming the real deal. And it's so much fun to watch because when you have a player, it kind of reminds me of like when Dame had that one playoff run where, he did the bye-bye to OKC.
Yeah.
He hit another big shot against Houston. And you're going through this run. I mean, they obviously didn't make it to the finals and things like that, but you're going through this run and it just takes your level from elite player to like that superstar status. And I think Haliburton is here and he's getting to that superstar status. And he takes his game to another level in the playoffs, almost like a Jamal Murray, where it's like regular season handles his business, but when he gets into playoffs, he's ready to roll. So it's fun to watch him.
Yeah, I mean, for sure. I think we talked about it where it's interesting that he does perform, at least for now, throughout his career, a lot better in the playoffs. And if you had to choose one of the two, a regular season or playoffs, you'd want your best player, so to speak, to perform in the playoffs. And he's done that. He's, a big 31 tonight, 11 assists. He was playmaking. He was hitting the big shots. Like the thing about these 3 games that I talked about with like having those huge comebacks, Haliburton was all over those comebacks. Like, he was the one hitting the big shot, and I believe all of them. So, if I'm not mistaken, I'd have to think about the
first one.
The first one he hit that 3 against Milwaukee, and then against Cleveland. Cleveland. I think he got a layup or something. Yeah, I have to look back, but I'm pretty sure he was. He was.
Pretty sure it's all 3 games.
Yeah. And so obviously Naismith was like instrumental in bringing him back, no doubt.
If it wasn't for Aaron Naismith, they wouldn't have been there. Like, he was just coming off screens, and then they started setting up plays for him, and it was just nonstop flamethrower at the 3-point line. So
I know, and I forgot Naismith was actually drafted by the Celtics. He was on the team for a couple years. Traded for what's his name, Brogdon. Yeah. And I was thinking about it. So last year, Indiana made the Eastern Finals, and they lost game 1 in not like very like similar fashion, where they really, really had the game against Boston, and then kind of choked themselves. And so you can see that maturation, process of like a year later, them being the ones to come back. It's pretty crazy to see.
Yeah, it's fun to see him grow up, and we got to remember,
our eyes,
Rick Carlisle is the only one left that's won a championship. So he's bringing some just offensive schemes, just the way he's getting his guys to buy into what they do and believing that they can actually win this thing is incredible. And my question to you, since it seems like you think the Pacers are going to win the series now, if they win the series, I mean, do they have a legit shot based on how they're playing?
Yeah, I mean, I think if you make the finals, I mean, there's been times, right, where somehow, some way, some kind of random team like Miami a couple years ago made the finals, and you're like, against Denver. I would definitely have to. I still would have to favor the West, regardless of which team it is.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, gosh, if they make the finals, I mean, what can we say? We cannot look past them. I mean, they're the way they're playing. They're gonna make it really tough. Like, I think whoever it is, it's going to be a long series. And if Indiana, like, I think it would be I know, like, it probably wouldn't draw that as much Indiana OKC, you know, but it would be fascinating in terms of like styles and how both teams want to play. Just to see that clash, and you're going to see a lot of depth. So you see a lot of good basketball. You wouldn't see tired players and things like that, other than like the normal, you know, obviously wear and tear and being tired in games. But yeah, I mean, to answer your question, like if they can get through the series, which I think they have a really good shot to, then the Pacers might be winning their first NBA championship.
Oh, I hear you there.
That'd be something.
No, I think the media and a lot of basketball fans are probably rooting for the Knicks to get there, right? Because it's a good story. You know, seeing the Knicks kind of get to the finals finally after all these years. And they got some great players on their team. It just, man, what Indiana's got right now and how they're playing is pretty remarkable. And it's going to be fun to watch this series and see how it turns out. But I can't imagine how Stephen A. Smith is feeling tonight. And I want to see what he says on First Take.
I know, yeah, because obviously TNT was hosting it tonight, and it was funny seeing those Charles Barkley and them were just so silly. Like Charles Barkley was like, "Man, like Knicks can't play this game. I don't think this is probably the most they've scored all season long." And then they like looked into the stats. They're like, yeah, they scored like 140 plus like 5 to 7 times this year. And he was like, oh well, you know, it's just funny, like, you know, Charles,
they're terrible. No, he's gonna blast out stuff. But I mean, the Knicks can score, Pacers can score. We knew that, and we knew, like, yes, they've been playing better defensively in the playoffs, both teams, but we knew this was going to be an offensive series, and it's probably going to be legit entertaining. And I think this Final Four teams are just going to be so much fun. Like, I felt like, obviously OKC and Minnesota got into a little blowout towards the second half and things like that, but I think that series is going to be close. So we're going to have a lot of fun basketball over the next week or two, obviously a couple weeks for the finals, but man, it's going to be fun. So
yeah, like I was getting ready to talk about tonight how this game was semi-similar to the game last night, where it was kind of close, and then one team pulled away. And this, you know, it was the Knicks, right? They went on a big run with Brunson on the bench with 5 fouls. And little did we know that we'd be talking about one of the crazier comebacks in NBA postseason history. And so, yeah, it's going to be fun. I anticipate Minnesota tomorrow, which I know we'll get into a bit in a sec, but Minnesota definitely having a better effort. And then I'm hoping Knicks win, game 4 just from Friday game 2, just from a competitive standpoint, because obviously if they lose it, we can say goodnight. And I just don't know how many games it would be, but they got it. This is
it'll be the same feeling as when the Knicks won 2 games in Boston, where you're like, all right, this is probably Rap City. But let's see what the Knicks are made of. I think they're much stronger mentality-wise. It just a good loss to have.
Yeah, it wasn't their night at the end, that's for sure.
Yeah. All right. So
you almost wish you would have. I was gonna say, you almost wish you would have just had one of these funky games and got blown out and like flushed it.
Yes.
Totally could flush it.
You would much rather have a blowout than a choke job like this game. Like, there's no way. Mentality, you're like, okay, we could watch it. We could watch that. We don't need to watch video. We got blown out. Let's just regroup and go to game 2. This is more like you go to the locker room and there's probably nothing but silence because they're so pissed, right?
100%.
Yeah. So let's get into our Something Happened Today segment and just kind of update Anthony Edwards' injury. As you guys remember yesterday, he sprained his ankle, went to the locker room, but then eventually came back in the game. So I was trying to look up, and I know the Timberwolves are kind of probably going to be a little bit cautious in what they say, or they probably won't say much.
Little gamesmanship,
Yeah. It doesn't look like there's any updates. He seemed to think he's going to be fine because they asked him after the game if the ankle injury affected anything, affected his game, or he said nah. Usual answer, nah, didn't. I only shot effing 13 shots, so that's probably the reason why we lost, and partly why I didn't have a good game. Now, I will say going into game 2, we'll know early on in the first quarter, second quarter, whether or not he is affected by this ankle if he's not driving to the basket and trying to explode. If he's, staying back and just taking threes and really just staying around the perimeter, might be a point where we're like, okay, this ankle is actually really bothering him. And the fact that it's the right side and it's the left ankle that he's sprained multiple times already in this playoffs. So I think just having both sides are probably a little beat up, right? Might affect his game a little bit. But I seeing him throughout the playoffs and seeing how he comes back from all this, he seems to respond really well after one of these ankle scares. So I expect him to have a pretty big game in game 2 and Minnesota to possibly get the win.
Yeah, he took 13 shots. One of them was in the paint. So
yeah.
What I kind of want to know, and we'll see probably in game 2, was it because of the ankle? Was it because of the schematics of OKC, where they really, really make it tough, as we reported yesterday, where when you feel you have a gap that gets sealed in a split second. And so, we talked about how, that will be telling. And so, if he's settling from the outside, it could be an indicator that maybe he feels like he doesn't have the explosiveness with those ankles. Sure. And so, I hope he's as close to 100% as possible, because I know we're a little sick of obviously some series kind of ending because of injuries. And so, and they're because we know he's gonna play, right? Obviously, and so they're gonna keep that information close to the chest. In terms of the severity of it, a little bit of gamesmanship, as I mentioned earlier. And we'll just have to see it with our own eyes if we feel that he's 100. For
sure. Yeah, I have a feeling he's going to be kind of back to normal Anthony Edwards, but we shall see what that looks like. But moving forward, it's something to monitor as the series goes on to make sure it's not something that affects him the rest of the series.
Yeah. A healthy Ant goes a long way, and so even when he is healthy, it's going to be tough enough to make this a long series. And so that's what we hope for. That's what I anticipate it being. Obviously, chose Minnesota to win the series, and I know if I'm riding Minnesota, that they got is still one of the first two. Didn't get game 1, and obviously the injuries aside, gotta handle business the next one. So I know we're gonna get into that here in a sec.
Yeah. All right, so let's pivot and preview game 2 of OKC and Minnesota, and what you're kind of looking for going into that game. What do you see Minnesota really needs to change going into game 2?
So got to look at their first half. I got to take a look at some of the things they were doing defensively, kind of keeping everybody in front of them, making it obviously OKC welcomes a defensive battle, but I think Minnesota does as well. I think from an offensive standpoint, Minnesota is they're gonna get hot every once in a while from the 3-point line, but statistics and history shows that they're not a top-notch 3-point shooting team. So they're going to have to really just pick their spots with that. I've been highlighting that they're going to have to figure out a way to get some easy baskets, whether if that's in transition, obviously maybe try to hound OKC a little bit more to create some turnovers that will do that. I think Randall, who played obviously he played good enough last game. He had 29 points. But I want to see, more of a bully ball Randall, more than from the outside. I think the Thunder will welcome having Randall and Anthony Edwards just shooting threes all day long. I truthfully feel like they feel that Minnesota won't be able to win 4 games like that. And so they'll just have to pick their spots, get some easy buckets. And I mean, I think they will defend. I mean, they've done it all year. And so that's kind of where I see things going. And, you know, I don't know. What about yourself?
Yeah, I look at Minnesota as they're a really good defensive team, right? Top 6 in the league in the regular season, have done a hell of a job in the playoffs. If I were them, I would scheme in this game a way to make the other players beat you besides SGA. Like I would actually just try to take the ball out of his hand as much as possible, and kind of cause havoc with him. Like he's obviously he has a great understanding of the game and understands how to get fouls. But I would try to throw a little bit more double teams towards him and just really try to force the ball out of his hand and make the other players beat you. I just think that if SGA is just getting his normal 30 to 35, they're just really unstoppable at that point, especially with the defense that they play. So I just want to see Minnesota really make a considerate effort on trying to stop SGA.
Absolutely. And that's something that it's interesting because I feel like so far teams haven't done that, and it would be a good approach because he's the head of the snake, and it could be a thought where you let him get his points and then stop the others, but that hasn't worked. And so try to stop him as much as you can. Honestly, when McDaniels got into foul trouble, which fortunately we know that it's probably going to happen against SGA. I mean, it just is what it is. But when he got in foul trouble in the third is where he really took over. So got to find a way to keep him on the floor. Maybe throw 2-3 guys at him. And look, if Lou Dort kills you from the 3-point line, I mean, tip your hat, right? I mean, don't get me wrong, he's improved in that area, but make these other guys beat you. And again, if they do beat you, then you kind of at least limited SGA. And so I like that. I think that's something that I can see them kind of attempting in game 2.
Yeah, I just think that like when I look at their roster, I mean, like Jalen Williams is the type of player that probably could get 30 if he needs to. I just don't see the others really, like Chet, like having a game where he has 30, 35. And if he does, hell, they're going to beat you, right? But if you're trying to force that out of his hand a little bit and just see if he can scheme that a little bit, I think that'll help a lot moving forward into the series as well. And obviously the fouls on Jaden McDaniels did not help, right? So we got to figure that out and just figure out if they can play a style that it doesn't allow the ref to call those fouls. And also, what's your opinion on SGA? And it seems like he's starting to get a lot of hate now that he's obviously become the MVP, and also just in fact because he's obviously a great player and he gets the foul line all the time. Right. So if you look kind of like on social media and kind of news outlet, you see here, he gets every call. The refs are doing this, refs are doing that. What's your opinion on that?
I think it's like, sorry, I'm trying to see if I can look up this stat. I don't know if I'll be able to get it. There's something around like he, as far as MVPs go, he's actually not really like top in line with getting to the free throw line. I got to find that. But I think it's a little bit overblown because it's right now, everything is so magnified. So out of a 48-minute game with obviously hundreds of, possessions and bunch of plays, we're magnifying like 2 maybe plays where he's drawing a foul. And if you notice the last 2 days, we keep seeing the same like 2 highlights over and over again. And it makes it seem like it's happening a bunch. Yeah. And so at the end of the day, like he's the one that's the aggressor. And I'm sure, like, does he get some calls? I mean, let's be honest, like most superstars, MVP type players do. Mm-hmm. It's just that there's something going on like against him. I'm trying to look at what he shot for. Yeah, I mean, he was 11 for 14 last night. So that's going to obviously cause an uproar. But I don't know. I mean, what do you think? Like, I don't.
I'm not a big believer in like oh, he creates fouls on purpose and all that stuff. Like, I just think he's aggressive. That's his nature, right? To be super aggressive, and that's what's going to get you to the free throw line. So if you're super aggressive, I think you have no issue getting free throws. And like, people are going to complain no matter what because he's being aggressive, and overall, that's what he's supposed to do. Yeah. He's a scorer. Like, he's averaged 30 points for the last 3 seasons. He knows what to do, and he's more of a mid-range type of player. So anybody that's one of those type of players, they're going to be a little bit more aggressive than just like, say, somebody's just shooting threes all the time, right? You're not driving to the basket. You're not doing those type of plays. You're just, if you're in the mid range, you have a more tendency to get fouled by somebody. So,
yeah, like, I mean, it's just an argument that's always been going on in the NBA, and believe me, this particular argument isn't the first. It won't be the last. I mean, as Laker fans, right, we hear it all day long in terms of like Lakers get calls, and we could even say, hey, well, both teams shot 23 free throws, and somebody will still have an argument about how it was all lopsided. Yep. And so it's usually the aggressor, the teams that shoot a bunch of threes and don't, go to the basket, don't get those foul calls. And so, like, yeah, like it's again, a little bit, definitely a little bit overblown. That's for sure. Yeah. Oh yeah, here it is. So like, as far as like the MVPs go, historically in the NBA, NBA MVP seasons, SGA is 27th in free throw attempts.
Oh, okay. That's
so yeah. Like, out of the 78 NBA seasons, that would tell me there's 78 MVPs. SGA is 27th among free throw attempts. So I don't know. I mean,
that's not much, right?
Yeah. Like, he's in the top third. Sure. And I'm sure some of those like outliers are in there, like your Wilt Chamberlain's and all that. Of course, I'm sure he probably shot like 3,000 free throws a game, but and so no, it's I'm sure he knows it comes with the territory. When you start getting good, you start to be polarized, and so you're gonna have people that love you, people that talk mess about you. I think somebody like LeBron James knows that very well. So,
100%. And, on the regular season, he was second with free throws behind Giannis. And those two were the top 2 leading scorers in the NBA. So no surprise, if you're a leading scorer in the NBA, you're probably up there top 5 in free throws, right? That's just a simple fact. So I think we need to stop with all this SGA, the foul merchant stuff, and just respect what we're seeing right now. I know he's going to get a lot of hate because that's the thing to do, but well-deserved MVP.
That's right.
Especially what he's been doing this season. I know we had a show back weeks ago, maybe a month ago, and I was giving the debate that Joker could be MVP, and based on his stats that were higher than his MVP years. But this is what happens, right? There's going to be voter fatigue, and there's also going to be a player that's just been so consistent, and his team is just such an amazing team going into the postseason, and has continued to play that way. So well deserving of the MVP, and probably not his last one he's going to get.
Oh yeah, no, definitely. I'm sure that ceremony is going to be tomorrow, so perfect timing. That crowd's going to be even more crazy than it already is. Well deserved. Yeah, it's if Jokic would have won it, I think it would have been a little bit of a surprise, but definitely not. But definitely he obviously would have been deserving, because if he had a better year than his MVP seasons. But that's just the way the cookie crumbles sometimes with these awards. They tend to kind of like, let's give it to a guy that maybe hasn't had it. Again, not to take away from SGA, because it was well deserved as well. But it would have been tough for voters to vote for the Joker again. There would have had to have been really nobody that's had the season, like the SGA did this year. So props, and we'll see if he can carry them to the promised land.
Yeah, definitely. All righty. So any last thoughts there, Eric? on this terrible Knicks collapse here?
Again, it was rough.
Hey,
it was.
Has anybody checked on Spike? Because I'm surprised the TNT broadcast did not show him one time. Did they show him one time?
I was thinking that. I was actually going to tweet like, where is Spike? Like when we saw this from Hallie, I was like, come on, we gotta show Spike. So was he there? I honestly,
I would assume he was there, but I would just show shock that the TNT guy was just not right in front of his face just to get his reaction. I'll try to search the internet to see if he had any reactions there. But man, it was a remarkable game. Something that you don't see that often, obviously, right? And like based on some of those stats you gave earlier, and this is going to give Indiana some amazing momentum going into game 2 and the rest of the series. And like Eric said, he is now picking the Pacers to get to the finals. I'll stick with the Knicks because that's who I rolled with in the beginning, and I think their mentality will be stronger. But if they don't get game 2, those Knicks fans, I don't even want to. I'll feel really bad to see what they're like after game 2 if they lose that. But
it's a big one for sure. They got to get it, and I better see Spike out there for game 2. Maybe that's what was missing. Because I would imagine unless he had some other commitment, but I don't think anything would have been bigger than this. But it kind of wraps up that game. They got to move on, and obviously Western Finals matchup tomorrow. First, actually, before we go, I meant to. Did you hear what Rudy Gobert? we didn't talk about Rudy Gobert today.
What did he say?
He said they're grabbing, fouling. We know they're not gonna. We know that we're not gonna get those calls. So I guess that's what was happening with Gobert. He was getting fouled, so that's why he had that bad game.
I mean, he's 7'8" or something. Give me a break. He's getting grabbed by who? Who's he getting grabbed by, man? Get in, like what Shaq would always say. You 7'1", you get in the paint and you dunk the damn ball. Like, I mean, if I'll tell you this, Minnesota will not win the game unless Rudy Gobert has 10 points tomorrow. If he doesn't at least get I think 10 points,
get you 10.
Give me 10.
Okay,
and don't give me less than 10 rebounds either. You got to get. I need a 10. I need a double, a 10-10. A minimum from Rudy Gobert tomorrow, and Minnesota wins tomorrow.
The Naismith Hall of Fame. But I know we're not going to go down that.
Don't go down that rabbit hole.
Yeah, no. But they need. They need him. They don't need a huge amount of points, but they need his physicality. I mean, you got to give me more than 3 rebounds. But I just thought it was a funny quote. Coming from such a defensive-minded player and who scraps and obviously probably gets touchy-feely and gets obviously physical as well. So but we shall see.
I would imagine that Draymond Green had some comments to say about that on TNT if he saw that quote.
I know. I gotta listen back. It would be funny, but.
All right, so that wraps up our show on this Wednesday night. So we will be on tomorrow to see what happens in game 2 between Minnesota and OKC. Yes, but until then, everybody, good night from the Hoops Rehab team, and we'll see you tomorrow. Peace out, guys.
Peace out.